The following videos are probably going to be short. This is, if I have counted correctly, the 23rd one. The name Witting was mentioned. That one I saw twice here. Just recently, a person who was going from directions house number 8 outside, likely into the house number 9 till 11. A way younger version. Meantime, I had contact with Cordula Witting before I onlined her, addressing her in a quite appalling way, I must say. But more appalling though if the reason that brought me there to was correct, if not yet provable, or if not provable any longer. The whole village, I would assume, knew him, and maybe if still living might remember him. Why? Because the wife he married was a Bückerin, a person that was since long there, longer than both my parents. And the man she married, he was said, like the Gründel case, as having come over from Poland, be that true or not. In the first case, he was one of the dark-haired kind, if one can say so. And if there then was a kind of distinction that would allow for upon that sorting into certain areas. I would assume not coast area, but farther towards the east. Also, I saw a red-haired, also a Witting face, be it real or unreal. Here again, the biochemistry matter. And prior, I saw him on the parking lot in Erfurt, northwards, Lidl parking lot. He was opening the door to a car as if inviting me to hop into, which I didn't. Also a way younger version. Also, like the aforementioned case, no longer dark-haired, but all of a sudden blonde. As if now aligning themselves to that very grouping, having surrounded my father's side before the Second World War would start, and being now a replacement for those people that then knew more. And as the whereabouts of my father's side are not known, we don't know anything. We just have the information he is missed. It is a double meaning. Likely other people indeed know more. Those, namely, who knew that upon but that character, a certain storytelling was developed as early as the other family side was being presented with what I have described, keyword here, Shanaka Bam Schenkel murder case. As late or as early as mid of 90s, the then boyfriend of Tülay Koçer, also a name which I had mentioned in this streak of videos that are connected to, this is very ground level, and though the video streak is on Den Haag. However, it is material, it is to be taken as a pool as of now. As early as mid of 90s, the boyfriend of a Tülay Koçer told to having stemmed from the eastern part of Germany, northeastern part, maybe even more northeastern than Berlin, if I've understood it correctly. He came to the idea for no reason to blonde his hair and to cut it short. Upon Oliver Herzog, the second love relationship of mine, then having come to the idea to take photographs, portraits, at first from me, of course, because I was his girlfriend, but then also explainable of other people that he was acquainted with. Tülay, for example, a very interesting photo. I have put it into another context. Okay, here footnote thefts of law-related books from a library in Bavaria, wrapped in a certain color. It was touched upon here by a person that should have researched further, and then he would have gotten the idea, well, that was not a theft, but the book was free for being taken because it was outdated. Keyword here, Parlant, the commentary, the civil law commentary, Parlant, with DT ending. Who at City Photography did not photograph Friederike Lüthe, as if keeping her in my realms, like my mother was, and not overstepping any borders or what, with or without my knowledge. So to make it clear here, footnote, regardless whether they fucked with each other or not, it is even worse if they didn't. Why? Because then they knew a little bit too much of our family affairs. So I assume, but I don't know positively, that my parents ceased to communicating in normal ways upon starting with the incident that would drag my mother in and make her halfways unusable, if I'm honest here, because she was crying all the time. She indeed went totally on my nerves when I was little because she was crying all the time when she came home. At school she was working, functioning, but at home, as I'm concerned, for years not. Also the village knew, because the fire sirens would stop. They would test it each Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, and all of a sudden the testing phase was ending. Why? I don't know, but coincidentally doubled. Also ending was the crying of my mother's. So this is how they overstepped, but though they are still needed for helping us clarify here things. For example, pointing out, well, this one is this one and that one is not that one. Yeah. Back to the boyfriend of Tülay. He was also not photographed, if I'm not mistaken. I think he indeed was not photographed. Also, other boyfriends of his, buddies, also not. Yeah, why? So that one, Andre Hille, I also put him in a certain context concerning the death of another family member of ours. Was all of a sudden blonde and was working in a bookshop. Thereby alluding to a time frame when I read extensively. Though who was he pretending to be? Which blonde short hair blonde? I don't have any clue. So this is that. Shit, the video is too long. It does not fit in the row. I pause here and do it even longer and put it on YouTube. And insert the link in the streak that goes on Facebook. Numbered, I think it's going to be number 90. So, several versions why that Andre Hille, stemming from a completely different place, was choosing that hair cut and color. Likely explainable is that he knew those Munt twins and would allude to that. suggesting in referring to that time frame in which I did not have anything to do with criminal law or else law and not studying because I was then underaged and still living at home, suggesting me totally ununderstandable, but it would somehow sink in expectable. He then was already in a psychotherapy, and likely he grabbed some knowledge here and there and would learn how to manipulate persons, alluding to the photo issue to Nadia Tushov, Nadia then Ziadi, who completely cut her hair and let herself photograph from the back, alluding to the time frame when I got the head damage by I don't know, was it Christine Wilde or was it Markus Wenzel or else? The incident described in the LSD text, in which a ferrum thing was landed onto the back of my head. She also had a kind, I don't know if I still have something visible, but she clearly had something on her back. In combining those time frames, he would start suggesting into crowds or just developing the idea for himself that indeed months were not grabbing into my work and not paying, but yeah, completely developing another story, a different story derived from facts and altering them, communicating it in that way. I think this is arguable. Likely that coincides time frame wise with the development of a website that would present me as a porno star or what, and giving material therewith and inviting else people to shit onto a person that they have never met, as if to affirming him that what he was doing was correct, and that he was developing the correct story. Here, this is kitchen psychology, but I think this is explainable. Because just in case someone would ask, they would have interesting. They would have had to be able to explain that and how a law student does such a thing with herself, albeit being financed from parents. So this would be the explainer. She has no clue at all. She is signed in, but does not do anything and did not present anything, and by far not doing such a work. 13 points in criminal law. Um, yeah, I think this is it. To ground that thought further, one would, for example, the text that I've mentioned in order to have that incident clear, and the text Genesis at paragraphs 241a and so on and so forth, including attempt of murder as Ding B. Comprised of sad banalities, but in that time frame, a Thülay Kocher and a Friedrich Lüthe, with whom I met regularly, coffee drinking wise and smoking wise, and talking wise. Talking wise, art and foremost, one would have an impression what was conveyed. For example, I associated, if a little bit complicated, but I could associate a modem. Modem. It would take me years longer till I had access to the internet, but those likely had, albeit it was not shown. So, what kind of people would they address and would invite to look into my person and into matters? People with money, that is clear. I have argued it elsewhere, having started recently. I assumed both worlds, sports-wise, football and motor racing, car racing. Car racing totally explainable because they would like to be driven here and there, albeit this was not very often the case. They both could not drive a car then and had no license. Um, Motor racing because Tula Kotra, together with the boyfriend, they were spending at least a whole summer long, prior though, in the so-called Jägerkaserne. I also queued that word. A built facility to accommodate students, and formerly it was indeed, as the name tells, a place for soldiers in the midst of Marburg. There's another place further away that also later was renovated. Um, um, Thereupon they would go there. Here we have here a chick, meaning me, and later on football. Football they would they would put emphasis on for reasons that I cannot develop here fastly, but it has something to do with it's more common. My father likes watching football. Maybe they knew that I also know football more than motor racing, albeit I never was a fan and I did not watch it regularly, but I liked listening to the commentators as a little girl already. Um, then there they would start choosing for a partner for me. Yeah, offering those ones. I would expect them placing cards on onto different persons in order to be able to earn more for themselves, though, of course. They would choose. Yeah, the old character becomes clear. They would choose persons that I would never access in either single case, and they would choose as if they were my brother. And thereupon I came to certain names, and they would take into account that they had gotten the idea. Well, that one is a looks somehow similar. This is strange. Four persons, I think I counted, all till now famous. Question is, interestingly, if they came to the idea to which I came, that indeed Toni Kroos indeed could be my relative. Thereupon, another case, another likely case. Thereupon, because the brother of whom works for the company RTL, which I put indeed into the edge, totally criminally relevant. Um, uh, Question is if Toni Kroos, having seen me and including the persons that look similar to him, was so intelligent to have gotten the idea that he is that there are different versions, totally completely different versions, other than one would assume and expect if one would go that far. It is already totally strange, but looks wise, what can one do? Let oneself change. So, um, yeah, Den Haag, certain things have to be financed now. So I pause here. So, as regards that person, I mean, I also formulated I was shock verliebt. So I see these possibilities based upon the Q letter leading into the chemistry elements matters. Stickstoff, yeah. The keyword would be here Stickstoff, N, because he is younger than I. It indeed could fit that persons developed a certain idea When I was doing that practical work, we come back to Witting. When I was doing that practical work with indeed a veterinary of our village, by the way, the wife of his not only got the attention of Wolfram Barton, who might have tried his luck whilst her husband and me were in a cow stable elsewhere in the area. The keyword would be N, Stickstoff, and time-wise it fits. It could have been developed the idea to indeed have already searched for each and every relative upon having understood that a certain gameplay was at place, at works, involving us as one must say, as objects. I did not know anything. This is for certain. Because I just reconstruct and else people out of that crowd I don't know. My aunt knew more because she must have been financed, but I wrote it already. Time-wise, it fits, and Witting is involved there because Cordula Witting could learn on a bicycle tour how the castration, not sterilization. This is for females. The castration, it is correctly. It is the same matter as all of a sudden the word onanieren was not heard any longer. It was always masturbating. It is two different things. It is a difference. Also language-wise. I would explain Cordula Witting just talking-wise how that functions, but she did not really have too much an interest in it. What can I do? We were cycling. I was looking straight ahead. Thereupon, maybe some kind of a punishment was developed by herself. Likely not, unless she would complain to a person other than her father. And here we are now in the midst of our village. Don't put me together with those people, please. For example, a person that indeed was called Desha. Indeed, she was later together with a person called Desha. I did not really understand that, but then she was already in circles that were very religious. And she had already developed an interest in something like a Gläserrücken. People would sit in a round, put a glass in front, and then they would wait for deaf people to shake those glasses. This is how Cordula Witting would develop. Desha, the name of whom I don't know, my mother would know those things because those people were all passing the primary school at least. She also had already developed an interest in a person that my brother just recently told me, that one was all of a sudden having long hair, and then they had not to do anything any longer with each other. But as the Rassan Shebib case, this could also be taken differently. However, she was in different circles than I. This is Witting, Stickstoff. Also here the cat theme, so jurists now have understood a thing or two already. The TV reported back, oh yes, we are here, we are understanding. That was at a time when I once in a while asked for help in terms computer criminality wise, but people here also wanted to know a thing or two. So you have a whole pool of information, and you can understand how you fucked up this very country here. Because what I wrote should not have landed in all of your realms, but at places of Fachleute. So, as regards the Den Haag streak, I have to explain here a little bit more. One of two very famous cases that one needs when solving cases that smell mittelbare Täterschaft problems. The paragraphs 25, 1, sentence 1, second alternative, SDGB connectable or to be connected with another paragraph that bears that bears a number row that counts at least three, not only two. Then one needs those, but those two cases in order to refer, in order to explain and solve the case. So one needs more, though, way more, but that one refers to. It is how is it called? Is it called Katzenkönig-Fall or what? I think it is like that. So the question would be: is there anything power behind governments, though, behind governments directing them into certain directions? This is totally embarrassing, but it indeed appears that this at least has been attempted. So, one could hold against, yeah, but it's democracy if those fiefdoms down there are not, but it's all democratic and it is okay. Well, it is not when it indeed is the case that things are not based on law that one could look up any longer, but completely has been shifted into realms of the totally ununderstandable, of the totally uncommunicatable, as can be shown when reading but around 100 pages, just one of my texts that explains the arson matter. Because it is weirdness. It is madness. One cannot see through. It is totally amorphous, and this is the whole problem that I would have and would hold against. And here I stop. This is one of the last videos. I think it is the 23rd, as said, that goes into the streak, trying to lend certain people and people that help them before lastly Den Haag. Now, let's go to Holland.